everyone. I'm Julianne Meyer. You are watching Own Your Wellness. And quick update, shall we say, for those of you who've been following and me and my kitten adventures, Walter Croncat, the kitten, he is doing so much better. Him and the dog are getting along perfectly. They do Zoomies together the whole nine. I'm like, thank goodness, because that little kitten was a hellion and too much energy, and biting and clawing and all the things, just having fun and playing, but it hurts. So thank goodness we have that all taken care of. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that for those of you who've been asking me privately about what's going on with the kitten. But I'm excited about today's guest. He's an amazing person. He's got such a crazy background, crazy in a good way, because then you can trust what he has to say. Let me just bring him on. Dave Goodal, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited. I loved all your videos screamed through, and I'm like, I must be your brother or something from another mother. like everything. My whole wife and I have taken that whole journey of everything, of health and nutrition and workout and fitness and meditation. Like, yeah, I was just, you're flashing my whole last 30 years. It was awesome. Thank you.
I love that. When we started to create the show, we just thought, how many shows can there be, episodes about trainers and nutrition coaches and things like that? There's so much more behind it, especially the energy that's behind everything. And that's something that you know so much about. But let's get started. I wanted you to just share a little bit about you so people have an idea who the heck you are.
Yeah, so I'm a middle American, middle income family boy with horrible grades in high school, hated school, loved to learn. Undiagnosed dyslexic until I was like a junior in high school. Thankfully, my science teacher just happened to be my swim team coach when I was a little kid and was like, something's not right here. Got me the help we needed. And I ended up going to school for electrical engineering, had a 23-year career in consulting engineering and top Fortune 100 companies, like the ones you may know of, the Apples, the Chevron Oils, the Walmarts, the Goldman Sachses. So I've done multiple verticals in the industries, being like an engineering IT consultant. And I was in my 30s. My wife and I got married in 2000, so 23 years married. And I've got a 19-year-old and soon to be 17-year-old daughters. Very active father. That was one of my passions, to be an active father. I didn't really have active parents growing up, but yeah, on the journey, I think my oldest daughter was undiagnosed autistic till she was 9. So my wife and I had 9 years of tons of negative self-talk of we suck as parents. We had no help from grandparents. And it was like we were all in the trenches on our own. And I went out and basically got on my hands and knees talking to God, universe. I'm like, what am I not getting? And I just happened to be at a weekend event. I'm like, man, my life just sucks. And a mentor of mine turned around and said, your life sucks because of your best thinking. I'm like, tell me more about that. And that was the journey that triggered my self-discovery of, being an electrical engineer. Everything is vibrating molecules. Everything is energy. Mm-hmm. And once I went down that path of studying people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, and I started to recognize, like, what is this connection? What is this? And I was able to figure out how we can manipulate energy through our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And our unconscious mind will dictate what action we will or won't take based on our damn programming. So the little bit about me is I got obsessed with neuroplasticity and neuroscience. I'm like, how do we go back and rewire our thoughts? And it's been a gift that I've been able to create to help my oldest daughter with autism, me with my dyslexia, my youngest with her dyslexia. And then now I take it into big, small to medium businesses, and I help those business owners get out of their own damn way. So that was probably more than you needed to know, but that's a quick elevator pitch, I guess.
No, it was perfect. The thing that I keep thinking about that comes to mind is that you take what was considered woo-woo stuff and make it, science and real stuff for those people that are like, yeah, okay, thoughts are things. What do you mean? That's just some bull crap.
And that's what kind of I'm a very logical guy, right? I'm very creative. I have a big creative. I just laid a bunch of tile downstairs. My wife and I, you'll probably dig this. We're building a cold plunge and a hot sauna down in our screen and porch. And so, but I actually came off this weekend. My wife and I were doing all the grout. I'm like, when did we stop dreaming? Like, we used to always do these DIYs, and then we got life got kind of, it was one of those, another thing. I turned 52 this weekend, and I just looked and I was like, why, when did we stop doing this crap? Like, it sucks, but it's fun because we're creating. But what I heard you just say there was, on this whole journey on how this works, everyone does this woo-hoo, pie in the sky. Oh, you just think it and it will appear. It's like, no, there's got to be a way to make this work. And I just, for true grit and perseverance, I kind of cracked the code. And people aren't going to like what I have to say, but it's going to require effort. You're going to have to sit down and think.
And actually, it's kind of interesting because there's a huge difference between having thoughts and thinking.
Right. Right. I got on the phone with a client today, or potential client. We were having a breakthrough call, but very talented engineer. He's got credentials. He's got military credentials. He's got like all this stuff. But right now he's in a cash crunch. He's got several verticals he can take his business. And it just, it's painful sometimes to see these people that are super talented and they're just so bogged down with their thoughts because they haven't sat down to really identify, well, what is the problem? What is the path? And if I were to go left or right, what would my opportunities be? And I think that's every human being. And I think we have to deal with those on a daily basis.
No, we absolutely do. And, that's the whole idea too of, the thinking that got you into the problem is not the same thinking you can use to get out of it.
You can't. It's impossible.
Yeah, it's literally impossible. But I guess those people that are watching are thinking, yeah, I've heard this maybe. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But how do I go from changing my thoughts from, focusing on the problem to elevating to the place, instead of being in the trees, looking at it, at the forest.
Yes. That's awesome. What I heard you say there is it kind of made me reflect that on my journey, what I learned is there's two types of energy, right? That's how we manipulate. There's a fight or flight. I'm sure we all know what that means. Complete anxiety, overwhelm. I got to either run or I got to throw some punches, right? And then there's that flowy creative state. Well, here's the one thing that we don't understand. The more we get panicky into that fight or flight, we lose our IQ up to 95%. We get dumber. Mm-hmm. I talk with ex-military guys that were in special forces and like, yeah, they'd keep us up for 24, 48 hours. They'd have like explosions going off. They would stimulate their unconscious mind to normalize extreme stress because when it hits the fan, it has to be so normal that they can identify the exact problem and get a solution. Now that's an extreme, right? Being able to endure that psychological stressors. But I think we've created a generation or a society of take this pill, make the pain go away, which I know at times we need that, but we're not teaching generational coping mechanisms on how this is stressful. What's the worst case scenario? If I were to turn left or right, what would I gain either direction?
Exactly. And I'm going to take the medical community, for example. Even there's this idea. Let's take cancer, because I know a couple of my dear friends have recently been diagnosed. And, it's one of these things. It's kind of like you have to have this body part removed right away. And, or you're going to die. And most of the time people will do that because they're afraid. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because everybody's situation is different. But 99% of the time, if you can take a beat, you can take a beat and figure out
right
really what you want to do.
And it's funny, I had a client, he's been on his anti-anxiety medicine for 13 years and it was just really, but he was still having anxiety and we were trying to use some hypnosis techniques. And then I'm not a trained doctor, but I was like, well, tell me more about this medication. How long have you been on it? When's the last time you saw a doctor? She's like, oh, they gave it to me 13 years ago. I have no idea what it's. They told me anti-anxiety. And I was like, I think you need to make some appointments with your doctors. And come to find out, it was prescribed 13 years ago. There's been advancements in the industry. He was taking it at the wrong time of the day. He was anything that he could be doing wrong while taking the medication, he was doing it. Right. And the last call, he's like, they have me doing this. And this is the time of day. This is what I'm supposed to be feeling. If this isn't working, we're supposed to have I'm like, yeah, but we're in the society where like, take this pill and the problem will go away. It's like, no, it's still going to require heavy lifting. You're going to have to go to the gym and do reps and figure out what is the problem we're trying to solve.
Now, I think that that's a really good way to look at it because, and I always say this, that we live in a microwave society. We want it right now and as soon as possible. But anything worth having takes time and it takes effort. I mean, what is
Does.
I can't remember there's this thing I always put on Facebook, well, not all the time, but once a year when it pops up on my memories, it's about the Honda versus the Rolls Royce, and the Rolls Royce takes like 6 months to create and the Honda takes 13 hours. I mean,
Right.
not that there's anything wrong with the Honda. I'm just saying.
No, you're totally right. And and to simplify it, most people will sit and complain about their life they're in, but when you ask them, well, what life have you wanted to create? They have no idea. They can tell you everything that's wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, well, if that was gone, what would you have access to? What do you want? I mean, 90% of my clients can tell me exactly what they don't want, but struggle to tell me what they want. I mean, they've been so wrapped up in the shit show. Like they can't see any possibility greater than where they are right now. And the thought of trying something new and making it worse is more scary than actually making effort to make it better.
Exactly. And that's the thing too. I think about all the times I've been stuck in the I can't and the limitations, all these ideas that I have. I won't even allow myself to go to possibility and think about what it is I want, because I've already decided it's impossible. And it's like, if I can, like, every time I've let go of that idea, something better than even what I wouldn't even allow myself to think about originally has come true, has come to fruition. I mean, through hard work and all the rest. But
you just popped a new saying in my mind. It's called opportunity blindness. I just came up with that. It's like, how many times are you late to an event, a doctor's appointment or something, and you're rushing to get out of the house and you can't find your dang keys? Yeah. And they've been sitting on the counter the whole time. You're in such a panic state. This goes right back to the evidence of the catabolic energy. We lose our IQ, that you're running around the house in every room, tearing up the house, and they were right there in front of you. And I think it's the same thing. If there's new opportunities we want in our life, we want a new job, we want a new house, we want something to change. We're so focused on all the chaos that we can't see the opportunity that's presenting itself to take action right now. And so many people are blinded. I love that opportunity blindness. How often do you experience that?
Yeah, exactly. It happens all the time. I always love to share the story about when I was in Italy and I was doing this art class, and we went to the same spot, and I tell the story. Basically, we went and stared at the same exact spot for 2 hours once a week for weeks on end. So I probably had about 10 to 12 hours roughly staring at this exact same spot, painting this spot. And after that 10 to 12 hours, I noticed this building sitting there right in the middle. It had obviously been there the entire time I'd been staring at it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like somebody threw up an IKEA shed. I mean, that thing had been around for hundreds of years.
Right?
It was right there. I just didn't see it. So it always made me wonder, what else am I missing?
I think we all do that. We get so hyper focused on either the pain point, or disbelief. And it goes down to the science behind of what I've learned on my journeys. Our ego is designed to protect the body.
Exactly.
Period. So what is the ego doing? 99.9% of the time, looking for possible threat. Exactly. What can create me pain? What can create me harm? So you're having this constant battle with this creation and protection that's going on in our mind, our unconscious, conscious, and subconscious constantly. And it's like, how do you sometimes tell the unconscious and the ego, just shut the hell up and let me see where we are? It's like someone yelling at you to, like, where are we going? Screaming at you in the backseat of the car. And it's like, if you would just shut up and let me figure out where the hell we are, I can get us to where we want to go. Right. Exactly. But I think our ego does that same crap with us every day.
It does. It absolutely does. It's kind of like these unconscious, we just think of it as being real, because we're so used to responding or reacting in a certain way to certain stimulus that we don't even realize that there's another way. Like for me, I'm going to give like the easiest example in the world. Driving a car and somebody cuts me off, I have a very automatic reaction.
Oh yeah, me too. And I'm so focused, and here's what happens. Our judgment attracts it.
Exactly.
We're so hyper focused on the a-holes on the road. I'm like, oh, look at this one. Here comes another one. It's like, my wife's always like, how come every time we get in the car with you, they show up? I'm like, because I'm judgy and I'm looking for them, and they're going to show up every dang time. But that's my video game. That's the game I play. So I deal with it.
But I guess I've got a really fun question for you. Out
Sure.
of all the people that you've studied and all of the things that you've learned, what do you think is probably your favorite surprise about the human mind?
That's a really good question. And I really don't know how to answer it. I guess my aha in the last 5 years when I started learning about neuroplasticity. I mean, everyone's probably heard of it, but let me back up one more. I failed English every year in high school. I was in summer school every year.
Wow.
I married an honor student that was in English lit and all that stuff. We can read Shakespeare and tell you exactly what's going on over my damn head. I went back and got a master's in neuro-linguistics programming. And to break that is neuro is brain. And so if you think of neuroplasticity, neuro is brain, neuro pathways, plasticity is plastic. So our conscious and unconscious, the highways with which our thoughts travel on plastic roads. Those roads can be repaved, rerouted, and torn down. So what I've learned is we're full of truths. Truth. There's an S at the end of that.
Mhm.
If you take the S away, that's what's true. That is what is real. That is the truth. The S is our ego adding a SHITTY story at the end of what really happened. Because again, if you go back to the ego's got to protect the body to prevent pain and all this other stuff. So actually, it's going to put barriers up where it believes there to be pain so that you don't take action down the road or potentially get hurt. What
Mhm.
I've learned is you can go back into those moments with hypnosis and different techniques to identify those pain points, see for what they really were.
Mhm.
And now through your eyes today, 5 years wiser, 10 years wiser, 50 years wiser, you can look at it for what it really was and be like, oh, I made that I made that an issue. And I'm still carrying that story with me today. So the aha was that I can go back to an event and a story with which has held me back from everything, rewrite it so that I can take the action required tomorrow to get exactly what I want. And here's what happens is everyone gets married to the outcome in the process. Aim at a target. Because I'll tell you right now, if you get out of your own dang way, the process will be nothing like you expected, and the outcome will be 10 times better than you expected. It's we get so hyper focused on this is how I'm going to do it and this is what I'm going to get. I'm like, but what if you didn't even go half the way that you thought you would? You got it quicker and it's 10 times better than you ever even thought. But we're so egotistical, blocked. Ugh. So I hope I answered your question there. That's kind of like my discovery. It's like when that person told me 20 years ago, you're in your own damn way. Your life sucks because of your best thoughts. He wasn't wrong. I was
Yeah.
stuck in my own thinking patterns from what my parents taught me and their parents taught them and my personal hell stories that I created on my journey.
And we all have those. We all
Oh,
have personal hell stories.
and they don't go away, right? We just
Yeah.
we have to step back, like my daughter is 19, she's autistic, she's working a job, she drives a car, doing great at school. She got pseudo bullied at work last week. She works in a car wash, and it's like, and Papa Bear hopped in. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get my car and drive down there. This guy's he's gonna hear but realistically, I had to celebrate with my daughter. I'm like, how awesome is that you're here? This
Mhm.
happened. You're not on your own. You don't depend on this job, but we can talk through what happened. And you
Mhm.
can even take your perspective, or I can help you see another perspective. So then this is going to happen again. Not necessarily from this person, but in any job, I mean, there's always a Karen or a Kevin in the job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm Kevin, right?
We
but it
all
happens.
are.
But yeah.
Yeah, there's this saying, I'm gonna say the unswearing version, but every job has a crap sandwich, and you have to decide which crap sandwich you want to eat. So,
Right.
there's always something. It's never, but that's kind of like the fun and the joy of life is experiencing these things and being able to walk through it and maybe even change the story and how we perceive it and what we're gonna take away from that experience.
Yeah.
It does not, it doesn't make it the behavior of somebody else necessarily excusable, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like if somebody TPs your front yard, you still have to clean up the toilet paper,
I love it. Yeah, you shared that with me before. I
Yeah,
love that
I
analogy,
love that
right?
one. That's one of my favorites. It's so much easier to understand because it's like, oh yeah, I didn't do this, but in order for me to have what I want, I get to choose how I'm going to deal with it. So
Yeah.
anyway, on that note, we do need to go to a commercial break. So we'll be back in just a minute. And for those of you who are watching us live, thank you so much for joining us. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about this kind of fear and crap sandwich and all those negative things that are holding us back and how to walk through that. We'll be back in just a moment.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually, you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together. Welcome back, everyone. Let's bring Dave back to the show. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that last commercial. I live with 3 women, and my youngest is at a trainer right now. She's trying to get a D1 scholarship to softball, and my other one's running cross country right now. So it's neat to see how we empower women today in physical fitness and exercise. It's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. You know, even I used to be a trainer, and there's so few women trainers. It's really odd to me.
Yeah.
It's like that whole world is still kind of man dominated. So it's fascinating. So yeah, I'm with you. I always love seeing that.
Good stuff. So what you got?
So anyway, during the commercial break, I was thinking about what we were talking about before we started. You've got something in the pipes that's coming out soon. And I just love the way you described it. I would love for you to share with the people who are watching what you are creating right now.
Yeah. So I was laid off 5 years ago. So I've been working with a lot of, small to medium business owners in that 2 to 5 million mark. And the problem is the same. I don't care if you're a mom, if you're a dad, if you're a business owner, there's this invisible entity of overwhelm. Mm-hmm. And when you ask people what's going on, that's like, I don't know. There's just so much on my plate. And I just came up with this last week. I was working with my marketing team, and I came up with this idea. What if we could get the hate off your plate? Right. And and again, I'm in the process of writing a blog article, and we're going to do a free training on how to go ahead and exercise. We're going to give a free video training and some worksheets and such. But a lot of it is first of all, asking yourself the questions. And this is where you're going to have to be honest with yourself. What is going on right now?
Mm-hmm.
And what I typically have a clients do is we'll get a Google sheet. We'll do a personal and business or personal and career. Personal, write it all down. What is on your plate right now? Oh, the roof's leaking, the toilet's running. I need to paint this. Like I had a tile floor in our screen and porch. I started a year ago. We just finished it this weekend. Like, don't you think that was heavy on my shoulders, having that incomplete for a year on a room that I love using in the fall? So that's what usually happens is people have these incomplete, unfinished whatevers. And it's an opportunity to get it down on paper. Just list them out. And here's what happens. This aha happens when you actually, I like pen to paper better than a computer because there's something about the kinesthetic movement and how it connects the thoughts. But once you start handwriting it out and you start looking at the list and you're like, hey, if I could circle 3 of these, just 3 of them, and I could have them done in the next 30 days, which ones would I pick? Would you go after the hardest ones, the easiest ones? Go after the heaviest ones. At the end of the day, I don't care, but then I can get you to get it down on paper and actually see what the problem is. And go ahead and go into your career. It's the same thing. Have I been working for the same a-hole for the last 5 years and I really need to go find a new job? Well, what is it about the job that you love, but you hate about this guy or girl or whatever? What do you want to do? Like my wife was laid off 90 days ago, and it's been the best 90 days of self-discovery for her because she's a worker bee. She thinks the harder I work, the more I do, the more people appreciate me and want me. And I'm like, how'd that work? You got let go. They didn't care how much effort you put into it. Like, now what do you want? So it's been a godsend here in our house because thankfully, she's been having a career coach who's been saying the same thing I am, but I'm her husband, so I don't know anything. But it's like, focus on what it is you love. What do you love doing? What's the lifestyle? You know, she's got teenage daughters and she wants to be a part of their life and she wants to like start listing it out and not in a woohoo way. But like you said, when you were painting that picture, the more you focus on it, the more like the more vision. Yeah, the more you see. And it was just like, she came out of her coaching call today and she's like, oh my God, you were saying it the whole time. I just couldn't hear it because I wasn't in the mindset to hear it yet.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah. How many times have we all done that?
We're in that, like, it goes back to the proof of the catabolic state. When we're in that fight or flight state and the ego it's holding on so tight. I can't let go. I can't let go. At what point do you get so damn tired? You just have to let go of the belief, let go of the thought. If this wasn't blocking me from what I wanted, what would I have access to? So the getting the hate off your plate is really listing it all out. And I'll take it a step further for bonus. What I do with my business owners is they'll be doing all this stuff. I'm like, well, I have to do this and I have to do payroll. I have to do this. I have to do that. And I'm like, great. Tell me about your team. And I'll start dissecting the team. Team member A through B through C through D. Give me their name, their title, what are their job functions, rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is they're awesome. 1 is why did I hire this guy or girl? But we start looking for opportunities. I've saved companies over $100,000 in operational expenses because they were paying a C-suite guy a six-figure salary that wasn't doing their job, but the owner had never delegated the appropriate tasks or how they would succeed. This works for parents. Let me tell you this to you right now. You have a teenage kid and you're tired of doing their laundry? Go buy a laundry basket. I can't tell you how many women that I've worked with that are their own bosses. They run amazing companies and they're like, but the laundry and the kitchen and I'm like, how old are your kids? Oh, they're 12 and 15, fully capable. Stop at Target or Walmart on the way home tonight, pick up laundry baskets, and you're going to create an SOP, standard operating procedure on how to do laundry.
Well, I figured it out when I was 5. A 12-year-old can figure it out.
But we're a different generation. I wanted my favorite shirt to wear when I was in 5th grade, and my mom, there was no way in hell that she was doing it. So if I wanted it done, I had to go do it. Right. Nowadays, these kids, they get catered to so often. So actually having that conversation with a parent going, have them do their laundry. Like, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, don't you want them to leave your house someday as successful adults? Teach them how. And that also turns into it's like, I've had, these, men and women that are active parents are like, well, we get home and it's such a crap show and we got dinner. And I'm like, so we've done simple stuff as putting a whiteboard on the pantry door Monday through Friday. And they write out a dinner list and it's the same every week unless someone wants to change it. The grocery list stays the same. And a bonus tip is you can teach the kids one at a time to cook the dinner with you until both or all the kids know how to cook dinner. So they don't even have to wait for you to get home. They can have it done for you when you get home. So
Exactly.
it's the hate off your plate is learning what is an annoyance to you and learning how to delegate it to someone that would be more than happy to take it.
There is people that are more than happy to take it, especially in business. Kids, maybe not, but tough love is still love.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I mean, they're still going to be kids, but teaching them to do things that maybe they don't necessarily want to do in
Right.
order to succeed in life is probably a good thing.
Yeah. And then right now, like my 16-year-old, soon to be 17, like she is fast pitch softball, high intensity. She's in honors classes. She's got dyslexia and dysgraphia. So she's going to a math tutor. She had a math tutor right to her trainer tonight. And we're going to, after this, we're going to the softball field for pitching lessons, pitching and hitting lessons. And, but teaching her now at this level, it's, your athletic abilities, your pure grit has gotten you here. Now it's going to be structure.
Mhm.
How do you at 16 structure your calendar? How many times a week do I need to be doing batting practice? How many times a week do I have to? And it's getting it down in the calendar. And it probably sounds mean on my part that I'm teaching my kids at 17 and 19, put it on the calendar. If it's not in there, 1, I'm not going to know about it. 2, you're not going to do it. And 3, if you want me to be your accountability partner, if it's not in the calendar, I don't know that that's what you're trying to achieve. So I can't support you. Right. And go ahead.
Well, I like that too, because it's not you against them. It's your, and I love the term accountability buddy. It's kind of hard to say, but kids especially. I mean, as adults, we need people who are going to help keep us accountable.
Right.
I mean, I've told you I was a personal trainer. I have a personal trainer because I won't go to the gym otherwise.
Yeah. No, and that's where my daughter is tonight. She's at Scott's. He runs a garage gym for all these high school kids that full of explosion. It's all, he's probably 5-6 years older than me. He's a power lifter dude with 6-pack abs, but looks like a freaking wall. But I go see him 2 to 3 times a week, 1 to get out of my office because I'm here all the time.
Yeah.
But it's something to look forward to. And I know personal health and fitness is important to me. And if I don't have a goal to go get to, I'm not going to go. Plus, now he's got my cell phone and he texts me, "Are you coming tonight or not?" And it's, that little bit of guilt and shame. I'm like, all right, I'll go.
It works. Why not use those things to our advantage?
Exactly.
Especially, when I was working full time for somebody else, I had to go to the gym before work. So I was there at 6 a.m. so that I could get to work by 7:30. And, it was amazing. I mean, I did not like getting up, but I had that. So I knew that if I didn't show up, I'm letting him down and I'm spending money on an hour that I didn't, get trained on. So it all works. Why not? Why not use things to our advantage? I love that so much. Now, I love this idea of get the hate off your plate too, because there's so many different things that we just, like you said, the laundry.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. Why do we take on all these things? Like my husband is really good. If he sees me starting to feel overwhelmed or over whatever, and what can I do? When we were getting married, what can I do? Give me whatever, and he took care of it. And I felt comfortable with that. Otherwise, I just would have done the whole thing and complained about it the entire time.
Right. And it is, I mean, my wife and I have been married 23 years and I'll share a funny story. This is one of the beginnings of learning the hate off my plate. Right. We have a coffee maker. We both drink coffee in the morning. We love coffee. And I don't know about you, but I can't get the water from the coffee pot into the maker without me getting it all over the floor. But my wife is not the cleanest person in the world. So cleaning out the filter basket and getting all that other stuff. The one morning I turned around and I was like, "Hey, can you just put coffee in the coffee pot for me?" And then she turns around with this sarcastic, "This is the way we work." She's like, what am I, your coffee bee?" She didn't say B, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "What did you hear me say right there?" She's like, "Well, you're too good to make the coffee. And so you're just going to pass it off to me." I said, "No, here's what happens. I'm spilling water all over the ground." I said, "But every time you put the grounds in, you don't put it in all the way. So then we're chewing on our coffee. How about we work together? I'll clean it out. You put the water in, I'll set up the grinds, and then it's a 2-man team, but this part I hate, this part you don't care. You hate this part, I'll take care of that." So just to make coffee allowed us to have a conversation to identify what part of that process that we each hate. And then now we have an understanding where sometimes she'll be like, "Hey, the coffee grounds, everything's cleaned out, water's in it. Can you come down and help finish it up for me?" right? And there's no, like you said, there's no complaining. It's like, oh, he's good at this, I suck at this, I'm good at that. Yeah. And it's just that but in the house and in jobs, I have business owners that think, well, I'm the only person that knows it. It's in my head. It would take me so long to get it off my plate and teach anybody to do it the way I do it anyway. So I'm like, but who says they have to do it your way? If it gets done, who cares? Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And if are you going to hire a new person and pay them X amount, or you just want to start delegating some of this because everyone wants, hey, give them a raise with a little bit more responsibility. Or go spend $100,000 on a person that you don't know if they're going to work or not. And you might have to fire them in the next 90 days. Trust the people you have.
Exactly. Build on what you have. You know, something that comes to mind that I'm hearing you say too is all it takes is a little bit more conversation, asking the right questions, because that's the other thing too that I think a lot of people struggle with is they don't really ask creative questions. They ask questions that lead to nowhere.
Oh, now you got me excited. So there's 3 ways that people listen: see, hear, and feel. Right? I've seen your eyes go up a little bit, so I know there's a little bit of a visual processor in you. And I've seen you look down a little bit, so I know there's a little bit of feeling. There's this kinesthetic. So there's a visual, and you kind of resolve as how's that going to make you feel?
Yeah.
Right. So knowing that, now if I communicate to you and I tell you a story, it's like, hey, Julianne, what did you see right there? How did that make you feel? Now I'm talking your language.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So if we want to have conversations, we can do it through stories. We can ask what they heard, ask what they saw or they felt. And, I was on a podcast last week, and one of my buddies, he runs this construction podcast, and he's like, I always love that question when you turn around at the end of a statement, you're like, what did you hear right there? Because I can't tell you how many times I've told a metaphorical story to a client, and I was like, what did you hear right there? What I was trying to get across didn't even come close. Like because it resonated with one of their internal stories, one of their internal programmings. And then once I heard them repeat back to me what they heard, then I had more of an understanding of what wavelength we're on. So the conversation can take the path of, oh, you're hurt on this past experience. I was trying to help you see this, but you saw that. Okay, now I kind of know where we're coming from. And rather than getting upset or angry, now I know the situation and we can navigate that way. But yes, it comes to asking questions.
Yeah. I love that so much. It makes me think of just following through, like setting this one was a game changer for me. How many times I've set an intention, but never checked in to see if I actually followed through with that intention.
Right.
That's the second half of it. Yeah. I can communicate something, but is it actually being communicated in the way that I want it? Am I getting my message across?
Correct. Well, it's funny what I'm also hearing you say there, and I want to make sure everybody hears this before we have to wrap up. But if you want to alter your life and get the hate off your plate, you have to first acknowledge that there's a problem. And 9 times out of 10, that problem is in between your ears.
Yeah.
When you get it down on paper and you can identify the problem, to get something new, you have to get something up. Period. There's like a law. Like I had a friend of mine. He's been sober for 2 years. I said, what did you have to give? Okay, so you gave up drinking. What did you have to adopt new? And he says, a healthy lifestyle. I get up, I go to the gym every day. Now I'm playing golf and I've got a golf trainer and I'm doing this. And I'm like, okay, so to get that out of your life, you had to set new goals and new intentions and new habits. Right. So if there's something new, we have to let go of something. We have to attract something new, a new pattern or process. So the getting the hate off the plate is identifying what you don't like, because that catabolic energy blocks our IQ. If you're constantly in the storm, until you step out of the storm and look in and identify what's causing the storm, you don't have the ability to get off your plate. Health and fitness. People fail because they don't set accountability measures. Well, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. Or here's the other thing they'll do. I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. This is my diet change. I'm going to do this. And they're like, these are the 10 things I'm going to do this week. They come out, they do 2, and they tell themselves they're a piece of crap. Well, it's just not the cards for me. It's not good for me. No, what's one thing you can do this week? Do that for 2 weeks, then remove and add, remove and add, remove and add. But, and it goes back to the neuroplasticity. It's real. Look it up. Google it. I don't care. Neuroplasticity is neural pathways, the neurons and neurites. They're plastic. You can tear down a road, pave a new one. And as long as you continue to to travel that path, the new roads take over. That's why meditation and prayer, visualization, it's so important. And I know it sounds woo-hooey, but until you get that ego to shut the heck up, this is the new belief, you're going to keep defaulting to what's easy. So I hope that sums it up quickly. I know it's kind of pie in the sky, but we're going to have more systems on the website. I love instructions. Just tell me what to do.
Me too. I'm all about instructions.
Just tell me what to do. How do I put it together?
Exactly. On that note, we're going to go to our next commercial break. We'll be back in just a moment. And for those of you who are watching us on demand, thank you for being here. When we come back, we're going to talk a bit more about neuroplasticity. And also, we're going to get into this idea of, not only releasing these habits, but creating new things. Because like he said, you got to let go of something to get something new. We'll be back in just a minute.
Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's bring Dave back to the show. Welcome back.
Yeah, glad to be here.
We are running a little low on time. We got about 10 minutes before we have to officially wrap, but I just wanted to touch some more on the idea of changing our brain, and also how when you get that hate off your plate, you have to have something else to fill that spot, or you're going to default back to this whole, your previous system.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like it, it's what you know, it's comfortable.
Yeah. And well, I was thinking in the break, and there's something we just started doing in the house is I'm creating a cold plunge. So I've been cold plunging for 6 weeks. I hate the cold plunge. Like, it's 50-degree water. I sit in it for 5 minutes. Every time I put my toe in every morning, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But I know on the outside, on the other side of it, it stimulates my neural pathways. It gets my dopamine. It releases my cortisol. It helps my brown fat. I know the gain I'm looking for through the hate I'm about to endure. Right. Mm-hmm. And I know everyone's like, oh, you got to grind through it, do the hard thing. And it is doing the hard thing. And it's something I do first thing in the morning, but it's something I hate. But this is, I wanted to be clear. There's this 80-20 rule on the hate on your plate, right? Some of the hate is like, hey, this is the life you chose. This is what you're trying to do. These are the opportunities you want to have. If you want to do this, you got to do this. You got to do that, yeah. Right? As we level up, there's certain things that now we've grown out of, and we can get that off our plate and we can move forward. But it's this 80-20 balance. And, like for me, I hate email. So I tell my clients, I'm like, if you really want to get a hold of me, I give you my personal cell phone number, text me. I'll be texting and most people don't take advantage of that. They respect it. But yeah, the hate off your plate is really getting focused on what's stopping you from taking that action and recognizing that ego, right? And is the ego helping or hurting you? And go ahead.
No, I was just going to say too, I love that distinction about the things that you have to do, even if you don't want to, versus the things that you can pass along. But also if you can change your relationship to the things that you hate, so it's you're not as focused on, oh my gosh, I'm going to be freezing cold, I don't want to be in this. And you're focusing on the fact that you're going to get, dopamine released into your system, that you're doing something for your overall health. And you're going to accomplish first thing in the morning. I mean, all these different, if you can focus on that part versus the, and
it's luxury. And there's a hypnosis. I pre-programmed in my brain, if I can make it 60 seconds, my body will be numb to where it won't bother me anymore.
Exactly.
And it's weird too, because I'll have the timer and I'll watch it count down. I'll have a song that's repetitive because I know all how the brain works and how hypnosis works and how we can set these programs up that, hey, when this song goes on, you're about ready to jump into cold. Okay, cool. When the song hits here, you're going to go numb. So we are pattern recognition human beings. That's what we do. We identify patterns and we repeat them until they no longer work. And yeah, so it's like I tip my toe, I hit start, I'm like, oh, this sucks. I'm in, and I'm like, okay, 60 seconds, my whole body just kind of like lets go. And it's like, then I'm there for 4 more minutes. So depending on how I'm feeling, sometimes it hurts. And I'm like, okay, we're out at 3. Goal is 3, stretch is 6. Let's see how we're going to go today. How strong is my will today? Right. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I like that too, because 1 minute versus 5, for example, is way easier to digest than.
Yeah. And well, sometimes I'll get there to like 3.5 minutes and I'm like, well, I'm already 3.5. What's 6? You start playing these games with yourself. And I wanted to share this with your people as well. It's, for me, I was always a doer, a grinder, grind it out. I've completed 2 Ironman competitions, right? And I am not a runner. I love to swim and I love to bike. And my first half marathon was in an Ironman event, and it was through a neighborhood, which couldn't be any more boring. But I had what I just did with the cold plunge. I'm like, there's a mailbox. Walk to that mailbox, run the next 2. Walk to the next mailbox, run the next 2. So for 2.5 hours, that's how I finished my first Ironman. And then I came back, got the data. Oh, well, we need to do a little more training here. We need to be doing this. And it's like, if I want to do it again and be more successful, what did I learn from the first event to make the next event even easier?
I like that. And also what I'm hearing too is gamifying. Like, it's a game. Okay, I do that when I'm running too, by the way. Because I'm going through a neighborhood. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go to that stop sign and then I can walk and then
right.
I'm like, I'm so good. I'm still good.
Right. And I can't remember her name. She's a female coach. She does the 1, 2, 3, go, but she gamifies it too. And it's like, if I can get this procrastination, if I can get you to move, if I can get you in 30 seconds to a minute to move and take action, I can guarantee that 80% of you will finish it.
Exactly. I love to tell this to people who are, especially when they're in the world of fitness. There were times when I would, I wasn't sure if my body really didn't want to work out or if it was just my brain. So I would tell myself, okay, I'll go to the gym. And if I'm there for 5 minutes, after 5 minutes, then I can leave. And honestly, I would have to drive about 20 minutes to get to the gym. And sometimes after 5 minutes, I left. But I went and I just could not make myself do it for whatever reason, whether it was mental. I mean, I'm sure it was mental, not physical, but it was okay because I made my commitment. I kept to my word. I did all those things. So I didn't have that shame cycle that pops in there too. But we are running low on time. I'm just curious if there's anything that maybe you want to touch on that we haven't talked about at all.
Yeah, so
much that we haven't
just to recap, and this was a game changer for me too, and I often have to go back and take my own medicine because I forget, is really sitting down with pen and paper, and maybe this is something I should put on my website for free, how to create a future. One of the things I do when we do mental emotional release with my clients and we're getting the baggage off, we have to create a new future. Can you write a 3-minute paragraph that if you were to read it into an audio text in an audio file of what your future looks like? Not I'm trying, this is what will happen. Like,
Mhm.
this is where I am, this is where I'm headed. And that's the self-hypnosis. If you could create your own audio files and listen to them going to bed, listen to them first thing in the morning, it sounds woo-hooey, but the self-hypnosis, you talking to yourself as a third person it goes to that unconscious, right? And that
Mhm.
unconscious is where our truths, the S, that crappy story we created, lies. And the more we hear ourselves tell a new story, the quicker we believe it and the new actions we'll take, and the quicker we'll get our goals. So the one thing I learned on my journey, our conscious mind is the goal setter, our unconscious mind is the goal getter. So if you've got crap programmed in your operating system, I don't care how much your conscious mind tells your heart what you want. If your heart doesn't believe or connect with this, it's not going to happen.
Oh, that's good. And conscious is our goal getter.
Goal setter versus goal getter. And if you're lying to your unconscious, it knows.
Yeah.
Or if it's got baggage stored in there, it knows. No, last time we did this, we got hurt. We're not going to do that. We're just going to sit down and shut up.
I like that. And and then like you said, our ego is trying to protect us. And real quick too, something that I wanted to share that I didn't actually was I was speaking with somebody recently, and they were talking about little kids and trying to get them to eat foods that they don't want to eat. And and here, what I thought was interesting was she was saying how kids have to try something 7 to 10, maybe even 12 times before they're going to know if they actually like it or they don't, because their taste buds are trying to protect them from poisons and things like that. So if they're eating, say, a vegetable and it has like an acidic taste to it or something, they're automatically going to think, oh, poison. And I thought that was really interesting, because it's not that they don't necessarily like vegetables. It's just that their body is saying, this could be poison. Don't eat this.
Yeah, 100%. And another thing too, I'll leave with this is this is a whole nother podcast, but finding the tribe that supports your journey of change. Right.
Oh,
If you're in a tribe, and my wife's in a group right now, and she's like, am I in the right tribe right now? I was like, I think you've outgrown them. She's like, well, how do I leave? And I'm like, well, you go find another tribe. And when they see you level up, either they're going to be like, hey, what are you doing? Can I come with you?
mhm.
There's this, we're tribal creatures, and we don't want to be rejected, and it's just, if you're trying to grow, you're going to lose friends. You're going to piss people off.
Mhm.
But here's the thing. If I'm surrounded by people, if I try to level up and I got 6 people yanking me back down, I'm in the wrong tribe anyways. If I
Yes,
walk
you are.
if I walk in and I fall down and 3 dudes turn, I was like, get your butt back up, get up here with us. We got stuff to do. I'm like, oh, I'm in the right tribe. And there may be a time where I surpass them, and that's okay.
It is.
We have limited time on this planet. Got to go get what you want to get, and surround yourself with amazing people that help you get there.
Exactly. On that note, thank you so much for being here
Yeah.
today. It has been an absolute pleasure. I want to pop up your website. I know it's on there, but we're going to make it big so people can really see. So go check out everything at tapmental.io, everyone. Support Dave. Support yourself, more importantly, because that's why you're here. It's all about you today. Anyway, thanks again for being here. And everyone, that is all the time that we have. We will be back later this week. We'll see you again soon.